Hello, chess friends, and welcome to Zarov's Chess Channel, and welcome to the TCEC Season 16. So finally, it started this TCEC Season 16 in TCEC Season 15. The winner was Lila C0 with a very nice win against this top engine Stockfish. So now we have this qualifying rounds. So the best 6 chess engines will qualify then to the League 2, and then the best 4 engines will qualify to the League 1. Then the best 2 will qualify for the Premier Division, and then the best 2 chess engines will play in the TCEC Superfinal. So I'm really looking forward to see now this season, because many chess engines have improved. We have now also an improved version of this Scorpionn chess engine, and it's really a great one. It's unbelievable how these chess engines play, and as said, it's maybe hard for us to feel for these engines, but if you want to have a good preparation in some openings, in some opening lines, I really recommend you that you watch this chess engines, because they have now played many games. You can find a very nice repertoire for yourself. So this is now the best chess that we can see these days, because these chess engines are at least 3000 rated, so it's unbelievable. Even the worst chess engines have a better rating than Magnus Carlsen, for instance. So unbelievable stuff you'll see in this game between Scorpionn and Wasp. Scorpionn is now the leader of this qualifying round, and Scorpionn hasn't lost a game so far. Also, we have Lila C0, the computer version, playing in this qualifying round, but Lila C0 is now on the 3rd place. Scorpionn is the leader of this very important stage of this tournament. So as said, I'm really looking forward. This is really a great game played by Scorpionn. You'll see what's all about. We have really great tactical elements in an early stage of the game. I'm not going to say I've never seen something like this, but it was really an unbelievable Ruy Lopez game. So let's see what happened here. E4. We have E5, knight on F3, knight on C6, bishop on B5, the Ruy Lopez, the Spanish game. So A6, bishop on A4, knight on F6, and now castling. So this is now still common theory. We have now this Morphy defense, and now there are many possibilities. If you take something like knight on E4, rook on E1 can be played, bishop knight on C5 with an attack, bishop on C6, d takes C6. Okay, still common theory. Maybe bishop on E6 can be played still. This is one of these lines. So as said here, this Morphy defense is very good. It attacks immediately this E4 pawn, but here bishop on E7 was played, sort of a classical variation of the Ruy Lopez, and now rook on E1. We have B5, bishop on B3, still it's common theory, of course. Now D6. If you try something like knight on A5, this doesn't bring you so much, because now after D4, knight takes on B3, a takes B3 can be played. But now if you try bishop on B7 in order to attack this E4 pawn, well, then knight on C3. It's a very interesting idea, because after maybe a potential B4 move, here we can play first D takes E5. After B takes C3, we can simply take the knight, and after bishop on F6, we have a very important move E5, and this is now really annoying for white to play. Of course, if you try bishop on F3, queen on F3, then something like this. Of course, we have also here some discovered attacks, so then after that we can take this pawn. So as said, really dangerous. So in these positions, you shouldn't really chase this bishop. This bishop will need many moves in order to get back into the game, although it's now on an active square. But still, the common idea of the Ruy Lopez is to play C3, D4, and then play the bishop on C2, and then have a very powerful attack on this diagonal. So here D6 was played by Wasp, and now C3, this idea to create a pawn breakthrough here in the center with the move D4. So castling H3, also a common idea, preventing bishop on G4 ideas, because as said, our main idea is here to play this d4. So of course this knight is the key defender of this d4, so we black could use here maybe a potential pin here on this knight on f3. So bishop on b7 was played, now d4, and now rook on e8. And here knight from b to d2. It's also a common idea. That's why this rook on e1 comes with this idea to leave this f1 square for this knight. Then this knight can jump on f1 and on g3, and maybe in the next couple of moves on a very active square on f5. So these are the main ideas in the Ruy Lopez, to occupy your opponent's half of the board through the square f5. That's why this reposition of the knight is really a natural way to play this very important Ruy Lopez line. So e takes d4 was played, and now c takes d4, and this is now black's idea. It's still common theory. That's why I myself don't like to play the Ruy Lopez, because you see we are now in move 12, and there are some lines in the Ruy Lopez even till move 30, and it's still common theory. So many these sidelines you have to practice. So you see now this top grandmasters, they're basically battling against each other in the Ruy Lopez. So the Ruy Lopez is sort of a game in which you have to make many moves, and still you haven't made maybe some kind of a progress. So the Ruy Lopez is sort of a positional, but also it can transpose into a tactical game. So it's really one of the most complex variations in chess. So that's why I myself try to avoid it. I like a more simplified way to play chess. So as you see, still move 12, we have still many sidelines even in these types of variations. So knight on d7 was played, and now knight on f1. This is now the idea, and now bishop on f6. We have now a little bit a hanging pawn situation here, although this pawn on e4 can sometimes be supported with f3. It's not a common hanging pawn situation, but this pawns can sometimes get an object of your opponent's attack. So you see, black is trying immediately to do these ideas. Of course, a potential e5 move is not possible, because we have really a powerful counter attack against this potential e5, and d5 is of course not so good, because now we can really cement the piece, or a knight or a bishop or even a rook, on this very powerful e5 square, and white will continue the game with this backward pawn, which is of course a weakness in the continuation. So that's why bishop on f4 was played, not moving these pawns. These pawns are creating a restriction against black's minor pieces here in the continuation of the game. So that's why here it's really important to stay with the pawns in the center. So knight on a5 was played, and here the game can get really complicated, because if you try something like e5 now, then after d takes e5 we have d takes e5, and if you take knight on b3 now, well, then queen on b3, and you see here you have to retreat with the bishop. It's really annoying now to play for black. Here you have to retreat. We have a powerful pawn on e5, and we can play rook on d1, and we'll have a powerful control on this d and e file. If you try something like bishop on f3 in this position after e5, then you have bishop on f7. It's really dangerous. After king on f7, then we can play queen takes on f3, and you see, if you try something like bishop on e7, then we have e6 here, and this is really game over, because we have also some discovered attack possibilities with bishop on c7. So this is of course a completely winning game here for white. So let's see now what happened in the continuation of the game. Here bishop on c2 was played, so not these complications. With e5, here knight on f8 was played, also common idea, because this knight on f8 is the defender of this h7. So if the position for this light square bishop get opened, as said, the main idea in the Ruy Lopez is not to stay on this diagonal. It's important to transpose on this diagonal on c2, and here knight on g3 was played. Here now Wasp makes I think it's a slightly inaccuracy with the move g6. It's really unnecessary to weaken now the pawn structure in front of the king, so you can maybe try something like knight on e6 instead of that, and try to kick away this bishop, so the bishop would then retreat maybe to c1, and then you can play something like c5, creating a pawn breakthrough and really challenging White's powerful central control with his pawn. So that's why here g6, after g6 now we have b3, and this b3 is now a very critical moment in the game. So b3 prevents, of course, knight on c4 ideas, but here Wasp played the move c5. It's a natural move, of course. It opens the diagonal for the bishop, but unbelievable stuff what Scorpionn did here. Scorpionn played here the move d5 and left the rook hanging. Unbelievable stuff here. Bishop takes on a1 was played, queen takes on a1, and now we have a very interesting middle game in which of course black is up the exchange but has many weaknesses here on dark squares. Of course we don't have anymore the dark square bishop, so here bishop on h6, then with this checkmate threat on g7, that would be White's main idea. So f6 was played. Now knight on h2 with the idea to play knight on g4 and then knight on h6. This is very dangerous for black to handle. That's why bishop on c8 preventing such ideas, but now bishop on c1 and now b4. This is also now idea black has to make some kind of a counterplay here, because all of the pieces here by white are aiming really on the king side. These knights have also transposed on the king side, so we have here a really powerful attack of minor pieces combined with this queen and this rook, which is supporting this very important e4 pawn, and this e4 pawn, well, it's also very important to defend this d5 pawn, because the d5 pawn creates this huge space control for white, so you should really hang on to the space advantage as much as you can. So after b4, here f4 was played, and now of course with some maybe pawn breakthrough possibilities to somehow crack open the position on dark squares, because we have to get use of this dark square bishop. It's now our main advantage in the continuation of the game. This rook is a little bit out of the game. It hasn't played so far, so black has to regroup if black wants to have some kind of a defense here, because the activity of white's piece is a huge one. And now comes the move c4, and here bishop on e3 was played. Of course we are not allowing this bishop to get blocked out, maybe if we play something like bishop on b2, but if you play something like c3 now, this is dangerous, because then you get a3, and after b takes a3, queen takes a3, and now you see you have troubles in order to defend this pawn. Still we can play something like bishop on d4. This knight is out of game. It has to play maybe something like knight on b7 here, then try to get fixed somehow on the c5 square. Here after bishop on e3, knight on d7 was played, and now we have knight on g4. So you see Scorpionn uses now this moment in which this knight has blocked out the bishop, and now this knight on g4 is very active, and now we have rook on b8. Now the threat is of course here to play maybe c3, because now after a3 we could recapture with the rook and get very actively with the rook into the game. That's why queen on d1. Now Scorpionn finds another plan, another idea. The position has changed, so we have again a transposition of these pieces, an improvement of the pieces. Now the queen on d1 can maybe come into the game through the square d4, and now rook on b5 was played, and now e5. Unbelievable pawn breakthrough. The position is now really complicated. C takes b3 was played, of course a takes b3, so it doesn't matter, the position hasn't changed dramatically here on the queen side, but we have here really complications in the middle game. If you try something like bishop on b7 in order to defend attack this d5 pawn, then you get queen on b1, and if you try d takes e5, then you have bishop on g6. If you try to protect this h7 pawn, you see you have d6. This is really annoying stuff to handle here. This pawn is really annoying. Knight on h5 can be the continuation. Knight on f5, we have f takes e5, liberating this diagonal for the dark square bishop. So as said, this is a huge activity with these pieces. So that's why here after a takes b3, d takes e5 was played first, but now we have f5, and again really tricky move here by Scorpionn. Scorpionn doesn't even take the pawn in the center. If you try something like g5 to create a blockade, then we have h4. This is really great. So if you try h takes g4, g takes h4, pardon me, then you get knight on h6, and if you try king on h8, you have to you get the fork here on f7. So that's why you have to play something like maybe here king on g7, but it's really a cool checkmate now, because you have queen on g4, then the king has to move on f8, and now you can pause the video and try to find the best move, which leads really into forced mate in 2, and it's really a great move. It's the move d6, and you cannot prevent any more checkmate here by the queen combined with this knight. So that's why here maybe after f5 here Wesp tried knight on f8, and again it's a little bit too late, because now we have knight on e4, and as I said, the main weakness was this really this f6 pawn. You see the queen was always stuck a little bit to the defense of this f6 pawn. If you try something like knight on bishop takes on f5, then we have simply the fork, and you lose the rook in the next move. We have still a powerful supported pass pawn here, which is also protected by the knight. If you try rook on d5, again with the same idea, knight takes on f6, and you lose the rook. So that's why after knight on e4, king on h8 was played, knight on f6 was played, now bishop takes on f5, now knight takes on e8, bishop takes on e4, and now you have to take, because if you try to get back with the knight somewhere, you don't have any more good squares. So that's why bishop takes on e4, queen takes on e8. But now let's evaluate the position. Black is one pawn up, it doesn't matter, but we have really this powerful pawn. We have also this dark square weaknesses around black's king, so black has many troubles in order to defend here. Queen on c2 was played, and now rook on b8. Now black has only can only use his pieces in the defense. Now d6, you see this powerful pass pawn can also be supported by this rook, and we can also attack this e5 pawn weakness. So here rook on c8 was played, queen on a2, knight on c6 was played, and now we get back the pawn here on a6. We have knight on b8, and now you see queen on a5 attacking this e5 pawn, knight from b to d7, and now bishop on d4, king on g7, now bishop on c4, fixing the knight, fixing bishop on a very important square. It's now supported by this pawn. Rook on a8, now rook on b4, g5, bishop takes on g5. So you see black doesn't have any good moves here. Knight on e6 was played. This g5 move was probably played because we want to bring the queen here in front of the king and try to defend here. But now bishop on e3 was played, rook on b8, now queen on d2. You see how this bishops are working perfectly fine in this open position. Queen on g6 was played, now queen on d5, rook on e8, but now bishop on b5 with the pin. Knight on f8 was played, but now rook on f8. We have queen on e6. Now queen on d3, queen on g6, and now queen takes on g6, king takes on g6, and now rook takes on f8. Very, very nice move, deflecting here this rook takes on f8, but now bishop bishop on d7 was played, king on f7, bishop on g4. It's really a losing game, but let's see what happened. Rook on g8, now we have d7, king on e7, bishop on c5, king on d8, and now bishop on b6 with an attack on the king on e7 was played, and now we can play promotion, but here probably Scorpionn was maybe trolling a little bit Wasp here with the move b4, didn't play immediately this d8, and this is now of course a completely winning endgame. Many moves were played in the continuation, but Scorpionn won this game very, very easily. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. Really great rook sacrifice by Scorpionn in the middle game, and also with this very, very powerful pawn breakthrough. I think it was really great game, something worth to see in the Ruy Lopez. We'll continue to follow this TCEC season 16, also this qualifying rounds, also the Division 2, Division 1, then the Premier League, and also this TCEC superfinal. So we'll see who's gonna make it this season. I'm really looking forward, as I said, because we can really learn some great tactics, some great opening theory from this chess engines, and as said, this is now this best chess that we can see these days, and it's really something worth to see. Okay, meanwhile you can watch my other commented chess games from the series with some other Lila C0, Stockfish, and the Komodo, and many of these top engines. And you can also watch my best chess games of all time if you want to see regular fellas playing this very beautiful game. And you can also subscribe to my channel if you like the content. Thank you for watching, guys, and chess is the best, of course.